I thought today's exercise went well. I was very pleased with the ingenuity of making up the messages. I kind of like that. It was pretty cool. We had aliens landing, and that was really pretty good. So Garrett, I like that. That's a pretty good job on making up those messages.
Yeah, that was pretty scary.
Yep.
Anything could happen.
Well, I should have put armed humanoids have debarked and are disrupting the soccer game, and then maybe it would have been a little less scary.
Yeah, that was good. It gave us all a chuckle when we heard that. That was good.
I'm glad. I don't know who was it who said when our operator read in alien invasion, someone at your end said, "Another alien invasion?" That was the right answer.
So Garrett, you were up with the fan people.
Yeah.
Pretty good operation up there.
Yeah, they're pretty organized, particularly at the ham level. They've got a bunch of people with GMRS radios, and they're beginning to integrate that into the operation. Obviously, that'll give them more reach if they ever need to operate. They have a great radio rig.
Yeah.
All right. Well, from the chime of my clock, it says it's 1 o'clock. So let's get started. Takeaways for me today as being net control. I thought everything went very, very well. Especially when we changed frequencies to go to the simplex and back and forth. The goal was to let's see. Okay, Judy says she is on, but she can't get off of mute. Okay. Well, Judy just will not be able to put any input into our meeting. That's okay. But anyway, I thought that all went very well. Matt, Northwest, were you not feeling too well today?
Okay, the issue is with the message numbers, particularly both in the upper right corner and on the subject line.
Message identifiers, yeah.
Message identifiers. Yeah, I need to study those a whole lot harder. Let me see if I'm for the messages that I write. It would be NWRR001, then 002, 003 in succession with no deviation. Is that correct?
Okay, so the NW being Northwest and the RR meaning River Road.
Right.
That is coming from somebody in River Road, yes. So that message identifier is from that originator of that message. And then it's coming into you, and that just goes on the subject line. You're not really going to put that number up in the upper right-hand corner. And so no, that won't be like that.
If I'm not putting numbers in the upper right-hand corner, then why is it even there?
That's in case if you have to generate a message from your location. Like Don Matheny, he was originator of a message from Southeast 1, and he originated a message, so he used his message identifier. Now, I won't go into that because we're in the process of changing with we talked with Craig and some other about the service cross. So I don't want to go into that right now, but that's what that means is if you would, as net control for Northwest District, someone came in and knocked on your door and gave you something that said, there is a fire right next door, or somebody got a leg has been severed. then you would be originator of a 213 as a net control. So that's where you would put in your NWNC 001 and it would go out as you. That makes sense? And we got some time to keep working on these message identifiers. They're really good. And they kind of draw lines in, it kind of focuses in where the location is at. And that satisfies the EOC because that's what they wanted to know. They wanted to have something that would quickly identify that message location by just looking at something. So that's what that did. I was working with Nancy over in Fairmont neighborhood. And Nancy, I was looking at the message identifiers on the Eugene.org page. And would the Fairmont neighborhood folks would they be adverse to, instead of having zone 1 through 5 to be like zone Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, and so forth? That way you would be able to keep your Alpha 4 character as FN, ZA, ZB, Z Charlie, ZD, and then followed by a 3 numeric digit. I was looking at that.
I know that's the way SUNA does it. I can certainly check in with the team. We're going to have our own little online meeting soon, and so we'll talk about changing that. Yeah. I think that, it's just sort of, we've done it for almost 2 years now, and that's the way we've been calling it, but right. It was an easy way to divide us up geographically because we have such odd geography.
Right.
And it cuts into the big hill.
Yeah, by using Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, Echo, Foxtrot, just the A, B, C, D, E, device 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That way you're able to keep the 4 letter characters and then the 3 numeric characters separate. And it still would be, you still be zone Alpha or same thing. You'd still be using zone on that. Just an idea.
Okay. So you're just trying to keep it to a 3-number.
Yes.
Thing.
Yeah. Instead of it would be kind of confusing for some when they would get a 4 numeric number and they're going to say, what? Wait a minute. This is their 1,003 messages that they sent out already. So yeah, that's why the thinking on that. Hey Don, yep.
Yeah, we have zones too. And so I was thinking just make the first digit the zone number, but that would give you message number 001 and message number 101 and message number 201. And you might think I had 201 messages.
Right.
So maybe that's not such a good idea. My other thought is that let's not try to put the location so much in the message number, but we could put it in block 3 where it says from, and you can put all the location of where it came from there. I don't know, maybe you're trying to use the message number to identify where it came from.
The message number or message identifier for the request of the EOC was I guess they wanted to somehow be able to pick up the message. Yes, it's going to have an address, but it's not going to tell them where or what district. But with setting up the identifiers, and they'll have the same sheet, they could quickly look up. But over time of repetition, they'll be able to recognize and understand that FN is the Fairmont neighborhood, and so they'll over time be able to understand that that's what that means, or Southeast is or SN is Southeast neighbors. So if you're using zones, Don, you could do the same thing. SN ZA, ZB, ZCs, whatever. If you're going by zone, same way. So what we have done, we don't have zones over here northeast. I'll take for like Mike deals with Balboa Street or Avenue, whatever it is, street, and also Lake Ridge. So we've used NN being northeast neighbors, and LR for Lake Ridge, and BA or B was it BA for Balboa. We kind of shorten it that way of for identifier for the location where they're coming from. So, but we'll work at that. I'll get with the message identifier coordinator, and we'll kind of talk about this and kind of work through that. At the beginning, it was Mike, myself, and Jerry. We were working on this as well. So we'll kind of get together. We'll maybe have coffee or something like that and continue talking. But on that subject. Let's see what else. So the change in freak was great. I love the messages. Message was sent in with the making things up. That was very good. We went right down the line, checking in and making sure we had radio contact, and we were able to talk with each other. That was very smooth, and going through from my end, going from each district, taking the emergency traffic first, and then going into and then to the other ones. Let's see here. I think Francis, she's having a little bit of a hard time getting into the Zoom thing. I'm not sure.
He just said that she tried to log on and it asked for a passcode. And I said, I was just texting her and saying, well, I don't know what that means.
But have her go to Eugene EmComm.net. Is it net?
That's what I sent.
Yeah.
And I sent it.
And she went to EugeneEmComm.org and clicked on the red button. It shouldn't ask her for a,
okay.
I don't think.
Okay, I'll just tell her that. Okay.
Yeah. Unless she has never gone to our website before, I'm not sure.
It worked fine for me doing exactly that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, we still have a little bit of problem with in the Northeast and I'm not sure quite what it is. Chris, one of the Northeast hams, we're having problems talking with the two different neighborhood field teams on FRS. So we got to do a little bit of work there, trying to figure out a sweet spot or some place to be. And I'm not sure why it's the problem, and whether it's because the houses are so close together, they're kind of like putting up a block. I'm not sure, but we're going to have to do some additional testing with Chris and FRS on Deo and Twin Elms to figure out why we can't communicate on that. Chris was able to talk to net control fine, but was not able to talk to the field team. So we got to work on that part.
And I could also hear, Alex, I could hear everything going on everywhere else except for, Dale.
Yeah. Well, Alex he's got a GMRS radio, so he's pumping out 3 more watts on that.
That's probably why.
Yeah. Craig, you had your hand up, Craig.
Yeah, I was just going to mention normally in Friendly Neighborhood, we use FRS channel 6, and we had a bunch of people that were sending practice messages. And there was some other group also sending practice messages on channel 6 that we were hearing. So we ended up doing some of our stuff on our alternate channel 20. So I think, Andy, like you mentioned, there's a bunch of unused channels and some neighborhoods that aren't active. So we should probably revisit the whole channel assignment thing at some point and see if we can improve it.
And so, yeah, so you're on channel 6. So that was Dave and Judy. Judy was in Lariat Drive, which is on Oakway, off of east of Oakway Road there, by going down Oakway, this Oakway Plaza. And so she was talking to Dave on GMRS. So if you were able to pick some of that garbage up all the way over the friendly neighborhood, that was quite a haul.
Yeah, and we weren't up on top of College Hill either. We're down in Washington Park doing our thing, and that's where everybody was.
So that tells you that the push that the GMRS radio is putting out on the 5 watts. So, but you're right about the different channels. Southwest district. I have to look at the map. They may have some channels as well. And of course, at this time, we don't have anybody Southwest. Yeah, Dave.
Yeah, I heard Judy just fine. But I could hear her talking with someone, and they were a lot of static, a lot of noise. So was that? Yeah, I don't know what that was, but
Yeah, I don't know.
Fine.
You might have been picking up what Craig was talking about, or Judy may have been talking to her field team on Channel 3, but I don't think if Judy was talking to her field team on Channel 3, I would recommend her use channels 8 through 14 to communicate with a field team. But anyway, so you may have been hearing Craig down there. Yeah, Gary. Yeah, you're muted. Can't hear you. Where'd you go? You're still
muted.
There we go.
Whitaker started out on Channel 2, and we heard Fairmount on there, so we switched to 16.
Well, good job. Well, you guys are getting really slick and moving quickly, which is good, which is awesome. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to not wait to be told, and if you're in net control, you make the change and go for it. Awesome. Good job.
Right. I have a question about that. This is Megan from the Whitaker, and I did hear all the Fairmont traffic was quite high. There was quite a lot of traffic from Fairmont, and so it was pretty clear. We couldn't even tell them that we were in there and switching. We just switched. But yeah. I'm wondering, we also share those same two channels, 2 and 6.
I haven't looked at the map, but I think you are really.
I just got.
There's really
I just got kicked out. Okay. I'm in a place with poor cell reception, so I'll move and call in later.
No, you're doing fine. We see you all, maybe you're okay. Walking. Maybe it's because you're walking. Maybe that's what it is. I'm not sure.
All right. No, it's not. I'm trying to find good. Okay.
Oh, okay.
My question was just that.
Yeah.
We share the same 2 channels, 2 and 16, with Fairmont and Santa Clara. Is Santa Clara using either of those channels?
Yes, we use channel 2.
Okay, well, we didn't get any interference from Santa Clara, which is funny because it's much closer to the Whitaker than Fairmont.
I got you. Yeah. Do
you want to go out?
I only sent 1 message or 2 on using that frequency. So if you were getting interference, it wasn't from Santa Clara.
Yeah, she said that.
No, we're clear. We didn't hear you at all. I just want to raise the flag. Just, I guess, to put a pin in the fact that we have 3 active neighborhoods, Whitaker, Santa Clara, and Fairmont, that are all using the same 2 channels.
Okay.
Is that a problem?
Well, there's some crosstalk, but check on the map of the resource guide for Southwest District. At the moment, we don't have anybody there, but there are a couple neighborhoods like Churchill, Far West, and West Eugene community that may have some channels that you might be able to use that won't be close by. And for Southeast too, do we have anybody in downtown neighborhood? They have channels that are available.
Okay, we'll check that out. Last time around, Jerry was here and we were on channel 2 in the Whitaker. And we were interfering with Jerry out in the Northwest. But
yeah, and the Fairmont folks switched to 16 last time.
So one of the things I noticed is that all the groups that have 2 as their primary also have 16 as their secondary. I wonder if we should mix up the secondaries and or maybe even put a third choice in there for that could be a more random.
Yeah. Well, that could be something that maybe Matt could maybe ponder on something like that. I don't know. Matt Alberson, he's the one that did the channels for all the neighborhoods.
Yep.
And so I don't know, maybe Matt, you might want to take a look at that and see what you think. You keep in mind though, that
Yeah.
we're using a combination of FRS radios and GMRS radios. FRS is 2 watts, GMRS is 5 watts. So we're mixing these two. And so out on our end, the GMRS is going to be kicking out further. And so that may be a hindrance on something like that.
So,
Nancy,
well, on my understanding is that on GMRS radios, when you are in channel 2, it's still going out at 2 watts, even though you've got the capacity on the radio. So that's what's weird, that we're all hearing each other on channel 2. When we go to 16 or a higher number like that, then we can go to 5 watts. But we're not on 5 watts on channel 2, and that's what's so weird, even though we all use GMRS in this neighborhood.
So one issue is like within friendly, there's some challenging spots behind hills and this and that. So even 5 watts is barely enough. But if you get a clear line of sight, 2 watts will go clear across town. So
right.
the terrain and the houses and the trees all make it quite variable, and it's not just a matter of the distance because 2 watts will go miles and miles if it's clear.
Yeah. It's clear.
And I just checked, and FMRS on channel 2 will do 5 watts.
Yeah, if you got a GMRS radio, it's going to be 5 watts on all those channels. It will go down to channel 8 and 12, and then it actually automatically sends it down to a half watt on the GMRS. But it's kicking out to 5 watts all the time. If you got it set on high, you may have a radio that you can set on medium, high, medium, or low. That you might want to check that as well. Robert, did you have your hand up?
It's taking it.
No. Okay, got you. Hey, Fran, good to hear it. See you here. Gary?
So this is an old Motorola.
What are you watching?
I mean, this thing might be 15 years old, and it does GMRS and FRS. It has 2 push talk buttons. There's a low power button and a high.
That's right.
These you can't buy these anymore.
I forgot about that, Gary. You're right. Some of those radios, the top button was a high power and the bottom button was low power. You're right.
Yeah, and the instructions say don't push the top button unless you're licensed for GMRS.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. Hey, Robert.
Yeah, so I have a GMRS mobile that'll do 20 watts on the high channels.
Oh.
So I got to make sure I tone it down when I'm using the high channels.
Yeah. Thanks. Okay. Let's see. I can't hear you, Jerry. Jerry, I see your mouth moving, but I don't hear you.
There we go. If you look at the chat window, I just copied the URL that has the power and all the different channels for both FRS and GMRS.
All right, thanks, Jerry. All right, what else? Any comments from you guys? What'd you think today?
Good.
Just thumbs up. Next.
Yeah, I thought we did really well. We're getting better. I can't say it's real good on my end yet, but it's getting more comfortable. So
well, that's good. Gary. Yeah, great.
Just a general comment. We had a great turnout. The weather definitely helped. we had 15 people sign in down at Washington Park, and a bunch of people were practicing writing messages and communicating messages with their FRS radios, and a couple of people from outside of FAN were there from Churchill and Jefferson to get some practice. Garrett's with us here in this meeting. So yeah, it was very, very good and some good practice, I thought, today.
Yeah. The some of the areas and that takes time over time. When we do these exercises, when we get to block 7, make sure that we say this is an exercise. And then when you're finished with block 7, a lot of you said end a message, which is great. And then follow that by this is an exercise, and then you're done. Other thing is, remember block 4 always starts out with the message identifier first, then followed by the address, and then followed by house fire, down a power line or something short like that. So try to get into the rhythm and routine of the subject line of going in that order. Susan.
I just want to thank everybody, since I was writing everything down. I appreciate everybody going slower now. And also just starting and finishing messages with this is an exercise.
Okay. Fran, you might want to mute yourself there. You kind of got a little feedback there.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to figure it out.
Okay. All right. There we go.
Fran has 2. Fran's on there twice, maybe.
Oh.
Okay, now she's not.
Okay, there we go. Let's see. I'll be meeting with the interim, I guess, or emergency manager next Monday. Not this Monday, but next Monday. So I'm going to try to see about maybe for next year if we could maybe have maybe like a mass casualty event with this. I'm not sure how that would look. What do you think? Don't know.
Just check that it's not at the same time as Rick Real, please.
Oh, well, it'll be the Saturday after the shakeout. So you can look at next year's October, the 3rd Thursday. That's the Great American Shakeout. Well, that Saturday is the citywide exercise. So I don't know when Rick Real is. But the citywide exercise is always the Saturday after the Great American Shakeout. Hey, Megan, yes. You're muted. We can't hear you, Megan. We can't hear you. We can't hear you.
Okay, sorry. I'm on a phone. I'm traveling. I just had one little comment about the subject of the message block 4. That when I started to go into I did what you said and gave the number, the identifier number, and then the location, and then a brief description of the issue. And Joanna, who was receiving, interpreted that to be my message. You know, she thought I was proceeding with the actual message. And so just want to flag that it can be a little confusing for the person receiving because they may think you're starting into the full message.
Hey, thank you. That's why it's so important. Thank you, Megan. That's why it's so important that the sender states block 2 and then say what's in block 2. Say
yeah,
block
I did that.
Yeah, block 3,
yeah.
Block 4, and so forth. By saying
I did it, and then he said back up.
Yeah, when you say block, that gives the receiver can put the pin where that block is at and start writing. Yes.
Okay. Great.
That's why it's so important that we go down.
Okay. Just so you know, I did that and it still was confusing.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Well, that's something that we need to work on in between time if we do monthly trainings or or quarterly training or something like that to maybe do things like that. Whether it's in the Whitaker neighborhood, Gary can fire up some kind of a training for the WIT and just use these messages used today and use them over and redo it again. And of course, the more you do it, the better and the easier you'll get to working with the messages. Any other comments or problems that you had, or areas that need to maybe more attention to? Susan.
Would you just review the difference between emergency and priority?
Emergency and priority.
There was, for example, there was a priority message that said there was a major gas leak underground, and because it had the potential for mass casualties, that's actually an emergency. And then another priority was 3 houses on fire with the potential to spread to multiple other homes. And that again is the risk of mass casualty. So that would be an emergency. Doesn't mean anyone's going to show up, but on our end, by the time we get that, we would probably see it more of an emergency rather than a priority.
Yes, thank you, Susan. Yeah, the resource guy has a flow chart of how to prioritize messages for the district net controls. Susan was my recorder as the message coming in, and so that was something that was a question that was raised, that would this not rise to the category of emergency? So we're not quite sure, but that was Don's message, I do believe, and he's got his hand up there. Don, go ahead.
Yeah, the rationale there was on the gas leak. They had already, the volunteers had cordoned off the area and traffic was not going through there. So we weren't so concerned about people dying. Same with the houses that were on fire. We knew that all the people in the houses had been evacuated. We didn't put that in the message. So maybe we should have put that in the message.
Yeah. I think maybe that would have been good to add a bullet saying all occupants of the houses are out. That might have been good, because as we got the message, we were looking at that, we're saying, wow, we got a whole block that's on fire. Are there people inside that can't get out? We don't know. That's something we're thinking about. And Fran put something in the chat about having the Lane County Public Reserve Corps, Medical Corps, for maybe if we do a mass casualty next year. And that's a possibility, Fran. But I'll leave that up to Eugene Emergency Management to coordinate that. I'll just kind of make a suggestion to the Eugene Emergency Management that, hey, maybe let's try to do this. Or let's have a mass casualty place. Let's land a helicopter somewhere and take a body out or something. Yeah, Robert?
Yeah, it was just mass casualty. Can we throw hazmat in there as well?
Well, let's take it one step at a time, Robert. Let's do a mass casualty with maybe we could get a National Guard to do a evac or some kind of a medevac. Maybe that might be a pretty good thing.
Full mop gear.
Plus, if she's able to do that, that would definitely generate a lot of newsworthy stuff.
There you go.
And would draw attention to EmComm and also the city DAT teams.
Right.
Any other comments of what problems you had, or things that we need to work on between now and next year?
I just want to add an additional thing about if you want to do mass casualty, I know that Servo War with the advanced team and Lane County Public Health are doing tabletop exercises. So it might be something good if you want to mention it to the Eugene City, but we can also talk to them. So thank you.
I heard a little bit that it was a little bit weak on my end, Fran, or maybe get closer to the mic. I'm not sure.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Oh, that's a lot better.
Okay, so I know that the advanced team on Servo War and Lane County Public Health are doing tabletop mass casualty exercises. So I'm just trying to say is they may be very interested, and we can also mention it to the city if you want, so as an option.
Yes, okay. Yeah, I'm going to bring it up and see see if they'd like to play or something. All right, thank you, Fran. Any other comments? All right. All right, so what takeaway I guess here is get with the message identifier coordinator, and we'll kind of do a little looking at the we got 5 zones in the Fairmont neighborhood. And Don, how many zones you got up there that you use zones?
We have 9.
9 zones.
9 zones, and then you might have 3 different damage assessment teams. And how far do you take this identification down?
Now, do each of those zones, do you have like a zone ham?
We're using the commercial radios for those zones.
But so each of those zones have a radio team leader, so to speak, right?
Yeah, they have a radio that they can call the neighborhood ham on.
Okay.
Without using FRS.
Okay. Well, we just have to include you in when we have our brainstorming meeting. How's that? Is that okay, Don?
And similar to that, we have 4 quarters in FAN, and each quarter leader has a ham unit, but and a GMRS unit, but we don't need that for these message prefixes. We can just call them FAN, and that's good enough for someone in the city to get a general idea, isn't it? I mean, what are they looking for?
Well, we'll set up time. Is are you, Don and Craig, are you guys free during the week?
Yeah, I'm generally pretty available. So yeah, just because we have internally a certain number of zones in the neighborhood doesn't have to be reflected in the message identifier. I don't see why it should be.
Okay. Well, how about if it's okay with you two, how about and Mike and Jerry, or I don't know, Jerry, he might be able to make it. We can get together and we'll have a get together powwow. We'll talk about it.
Yeah. Send around an email and propose a time. We'll figure out a time that everybody can do.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Yeah, Nancy, you're muted.
Okay. I guess into what Craig just said, one of the reasons why we were including a zone number on our message identifier is because we have all these different zones reporting into the net control, to the neighborhood net. And if they can't number their messages, if they were sending one message today, so fine. But if they're trying to keep track of the messages that they generate out of their zone, we had to have some way so that they had something before the 001, 002. Otherwise, you don't know why you're getting 3 messages that all say 001. If they're assigning the message on their their 213.
Also, the whole scheme is a little screwy, but what we do is we assign the message when we send it up to the district ham, Gary. That's when we assign the number. We don't assign numbers before that at all.
Well, see, if I have a message identifier that's being sent to me at the district level, if it hasn't been identified before. And so I think you need something. I mean, I can't logically ponder this without having that in there, but I'll wait for you guys to meet and solve it all. And I'll be sure to relay it to my team.
Okay. All right. Sounds great. we'll get together and kind of iron this out. So, it's something new that's never been done before, and we try to facilitate the wants of the EOC, and I think it's a pretty good plan. It just needs a little massaging, a little things to kind of get things going, but I think it's good. We'll get there. Any other questions, comments? Awesome.
Matt has his hand up.
Matt. Oh, hey, Matt. I'm sorry.
Okay. Say we get something massive, large scale, and we need outside help from elsewhere. Other teams come in. Can we explain to them the numbering scheme on the Eugene 213? Would it be intuitive for them? And if they can't, would they just add to the mess and confusion? I'm sorely tempted to do away with the whole number scheme altogether.
That is a good question, Matt. So my thinking quickly on this would, if you have volunteers come in and they want to go to a different area, that's where I would use the Northwest net control as the message identifier. That's what I would use.
And no numbers? Or what?
No, you would use 001 or 002 or whatever, something like that. Jerry, you're muted there. Don't forget, Jerry. But yeah, that's what I would do.
I know I'm muted. I'm just raising my hand.
Okay.
You ready?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Jerry.
So the reason for all this, and one thing we're forgetting, is that there's going to be responses coming back from the city.
Yeah.
And that's why we started this numbering scheme. So we have to have it, and we have to be able to, as we're going back down the line, be able to respond from the district to the neighborhood and now to the zone. So we do need this numbering scheme.
Yeah.
Somehow.
And
along
with
so
Jerry
we need
says,
to be able to figure out where a message came from and get the reply back to where it came from. That explains the prefixes, but doesn't really justify the numbers.
The numbers keep track of how many messages you sent on that. But anyway, and Jerry's right, because next year's exercise, we will have that in as a another thing to where we will have EOC send down a request going back down the line. So that will be next year on that. And Mike had his hand up as well. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I think it's important to remember that the tracking numbers are for our internal use. They're not to identify, where a disaster is happening or, the address where a problem happened. But if we need clarification, the message identifiers identify the person that sent the message. And, numerically, I may send 40 messages. We have to have the number as well. But it's an internal tracking device, not something for use during the emergency time, but perhaps later when we're trying to figure out what went wrong, what we need to improve.
Thank you, Mike. We'll get together and we'll iron this out. So, but it's good that we bring these up. Gary, you have it.
So logically, we would have two letters at each level that would identify that party within that level. In other words, at the Whitaker, we have WC. Then we have, so Joanne is WC NH, neighborhood ham. And then it goes to, but anyway, that could become S2 WC as it goes up the line. And then
right. So Joanna is the neighborhood ham for Whitaker. So if she would send out a message, someone came to her and she's sending out a 213, then her message identifier would be S2 WC 001. If say for Megan, hers would be a WC Whitaker neighborhood it would start with her, be WC as Whitaker neighborhood, just like we use NN for Northeast Neighbors, but WC, and then her designator for her area, I guess. Well, she's going to be a radio team leader for a DAT team, so we got to figure that out.
So she needs a tactical ID.
So don't forget, we have box 3 that says the from. So don't try to make this prefix carry the whole load here and make it too complicated.
Yeah, no, yeah. So we'll
I was
get
just thinking we could have 2 letters at each level.
right. We'll get together. The main thing is having 4 letters identify the location, and then the last 3 numbers are the number of how many messages that originator has sent. That's basically it. So, all right. So, any other questions? All right. Well, great. Keep up the good work. Chris, I'll try to get with you and we'll see what we can, maybe some Saturday, just you, me, and maybe Dale and Twin Elms can do a little testing. So we're kind of working on that, if that's okay with you there, Chris.
That sounds great. And then also to add the identifier for Crescent Meadows and Crescent Village.
They're on the list already. So I'll send you that if you don't.
Oh, a new list? Okay.
Yeah, I'll send that to you. Yes.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Yeah. All right, guys and gals. Thank you much. I appreciate your effort and all that you do. You did a great job. You got your hand up again, Chris. Can't hear you. There you go.
I'm just applauding your effort.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day and the weekend. Thank you all.
Thanks, Andy.
everybody.
Bye-bye.